Hi everyone, I'm Matt, and welcome back to another Toylytics video where we take a look at the analytical side of toy collecting. In this video, we're going to look specifically at the Soul Spiller wave of figures and their sales on the secondary market in the second half of 2023. This wave seems to be one of those that Legions fans forgot because not a lot is really discussed about this wave. You don't really hear a lot about it, even though there are some really good figures on here, as we will see. I think, looking at the figures themselves, people like them, but there's not a whole lot of buzz about this particular wave. I'm not really sure why, but may have gone a little bit under the radar. But overall, some really good figures. Let's see what they're selling for. So the figures themselves that are in this wave, we've got 8 figures, as you can see here. 2 of them were PowerCon debut figures in PowerCon 2018. That was Kawaros and Melina. This wave was pre-ordered in July and August of 2010. But as you can see here, not a lot of re-releases for figures in this wave. Really only the Ice Troll that was re-released in the All-Stars Trolls wave as Ice Troll 2, so these sales definitely do not include those. I was careful to see that the listings for the Ice Troll, whether they had this particular head only or the Brontus head as well, those were put into the Ice Troll 2 category if it happened to have the Brontus head, so it's pretty easy to determine which specific figure that we're looking at here. But everything else hasn't really been re-released, so it's interesting to see that there's not a lot of sales for these figures, but some of the prices are relatively high, maybe due to the lack of supply. But let's take a look at the sales themselves, and if you follow the rest of my videos for the other waves that I've done so far, you can see that 121 sales overall is definitely the lowest that I've looked at yet. Maybe not the lowest overall, I'm not sure, I haven't looked at them all, but the lowest that I've looked at yet for sure. But everything is selling. The Ice Troll itself, not too many of those are being sold. I think the Ice Troll 2 is being sold a lot more than the Ice Troll 1. But regardless, everything else is being sold somewhere between about 11 for Thalen Frostbow and 23 for Kawaros. So, teens to low 20s as far as the number of sales overall for this 6-month period. And here's the monthly chart for each one of these characters. Again, not a whole lot here. We can see that the Fury Clan Orc sold 8 of them in 2020 in September 2023. But other than that, sales were generally around 2 to 3 maybe per month. Here's Kawaros. You've got around 4 to 6 in a lot of months, but recently not a whole lot of sales, and so on. So as I've said in previous videos, this particular graph will have a little bit more meaning, hopefully, once we collect more data and see more months. But for right now, that is what it is as far as the breakdown is concerned. Most of these figures are selling per month less than 5 of these figures overall. Here are the average prices for the figures, and as you can see, as I said, there are some figures that are selling for pretty high prices. We got Thalen Frostbows the highest with 139.21, pretty close. Ragnar Stormforger 136, the Ice Troll expected to sell for a high price because he has a high retail price. I believe it's around 110 or so for the Trolls. 132, not really selling for too much more than that. Kawaros, pretty high price, but we'll see, what's bringing that price up in a minute. Shadow Elf Ranger, Lord Viteris, he's come down, at least as far as I can remember. He always used to be around $90 to $100. Now he seems to be selling for in that $80 range. And then Fury Clan Orc and Melina are the lowest of the two of the particular wave. So let's take a look at the individual sales themselves to see what we can glean from that. So first we'll take a look at Kawaros. Here he is, and you can see right here why that average is seemingly so high, about 126. You've got a sale for 378.6, also a sale for 264.6, and then a few others that sold for around $200 too. I'm not sure who's paying that price for Kawaros. It seems pretty available. Is not the rarest figure in the line for sure, so I don't know why people are paying that price. Sometimes these very high prices, I haven't mentioned this before, but some of these very high prices are international sales with respect to how eBay marks it. It's kind of in italics if you look at the sold listing, and often when you have those international sales, I did note that they're international in the data that I collected, but the issue with why those prices are so high often is because the shipping is really high. So again, I'm in the U.S. as I've said in the intro video to the channel, and when I look at the U.S. eBay, when I see international, those are people who bought from the U.S. It's my understanding, bought from the U.S. And the figure is being shipped from an international location, and that's where you can see $50 shipping, $60 shipping in some of those cases, which can really bump it up. Now, 378.6, even $60 shipping, even $78 shipping, that means somebody paid $300 for the figure. I don't know who's doing that. So maybe it was an auction that somebody didn't pay for. It's hard to tell there, but it is in the data. So I'm just going to kind of ignore a lot of these here and overall look at Kararos selling pretty commonly in the around $80 range here, $75 range, up to about 140. I mean, there were some that sold for 135, 140 later in the year. So he seems to be creeping up a little bit here. You've got here's around 90 or so, and over here we got 135. Here we've got 137.8. Here we've got over 100 as well. So he seems to be creeping up a little bit. Maybe he's getting a little bit more scarce. People are buying him up. But maybe they, saw the Mondo Battle Cat, couldn't get him, decided to get Kawaros instead, and this person paid almost the same price as you would pay for a Mondo Battle Cat for that Kawaros. So I don't know, but that's what the data is showing. It might be something to watch though in the future that he seems to be drying up a little bit on the secondary market even. So the next figure on the list is the Fury Clan Orc. So let's take a look at his sales. And he's generally in the range of about $70 to about 85, right? So most of these are kind of in this range right here. You can see that a lot of these loose ones were dumped for 55 to 60 in September and early October. But in general, after that, you really can't get one other than those loose ones here. You can't really get them for less than $70. Some people paid, upwards of 100 or close to 100, but in general, you're seeing somewhere between 70 to 85 for the Fury Clan Orc. The Ice Troll, not too many sales here. One loose one, sub $100. That was a really good deal. Some people paid some really high prices, 183, but in general, he's come down significantly after that All Stars release. Now you're looking at somewhere between about 110 to a lot of the sales are 110 to 130 or so. Okay, next figure is Lord Viteris. As I said, he used to be, when I used to track this a little more informally, he seemed to be somewhere around that $95 to $110 range. But you can see that there have been a lot of sales for sub 100, and even this new one down to 5203 is a really good deal. Even these are pretty good, 65 for new figures as well. But after mid-October, you can see the cheapest one was about 70 here, and then a little bit higher than that. So it seems like he's creeping up a little bit. If you see him for a price of $70 to $80, and you're interested in adding him to the collection, he's got a kind of interesting armor. I've always liked his look a lot. So you may want to add him if you see him at a pretty good price like that. Maybe not at that 110 price, but if you see him at the $70 to $80 price, might be worth taking a look at him. Melina. Okay, so she's another one that has a pretty consistent price overall, other than a few outliers. So we've got a $94.20 here in July, and then recently a $109. Seems like a really big overpay, because other than that, she's just been barely above retail. So we got a loose one here that's between 50 and 55, and then we've got upwards of $75 max. So I would say between 60 and 75 is what you can be looking at for her. All right, Ragnar Stormforger. This one, I really like her. I don't know. I probably overpaid a little bit when I got mine. I think I paid 150 or so in the Cabal. But if I had waited, unfortunately for me, but it happens. It's going to happen. You never know what the prices are going to be. I probably could have gotten her somewhere between 100 and that 150 that I paid. So her prices seem to come down a little bit. People were paying 190 to 220 for her in the past, but now it seems like you get her somewhere between 100 and 150 or $160 at most. We'll see if she continues to be popular as we get more of the Noble Bear figures that come out. Maybe they'll want her to go with the collection. So she might end up creeping up in price in the future, but we'll have to see. Shadow Elf Ranger, again here, kind of all over the place. We've got some lower prices. Here's a price of around $50 for a loose one, pretty good. Here's $70 for a loose one, again, pretty good. Some recent sales here in the $80 range, but other than that, you're looking at $110 and up for the Shadow Elf Ranger, which is probably due to supply. As far as why that price is so high, it's not even really a named character in that respect. So I think people maybe just want it for parts or like the look of it, etc. But it's hard to tell why that price is so high. But if you're in the market for one, you're probably going to need to expect to pay at least $80 and probably more than $100. And then finally, the last one. Not a lot of sales other than compared to everything else except for the Ice Troll. This is Thalen Frostbow. Again, one of the figures I really like from this wave. And other than this 210, gonna kind of ignore that one. May have been a significant overpay. She's been pretty consistently in the range, kind of like Ragna, of 120 to 160 overall. A lot of loose, although a couple new ones here too, but pretty consistently in that 120 to 160 range. If you see her for sub 120, that seems to be a pretty good price. And if you're looking to add her, I would jump on it because I think she's a pretty unique character. And if you want to add her to your collection, sub 120 seems like a pretty reasonable price there. So that's it for the Soul Spiller wave. As I said, not a lot to talk about as far as the quantity of sales, but some interesting figures kind of fly under the radar. I like a lot of their looks, and I've added a lot of them to my collection in the past. And hopefully this was interesting and informative for you. Thanks again for watching. Please, like, subscribe, etc. If you want to see more videos like this, I'm going to hopefully have Cosmic Wave 1 and Figure Obscura videos also coming out soon. So if you're interested in those lines, hopefully you can take a look at those as well. But I'll also be working my way through the rest of these main waves as we go. So stay tuned for more, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.